Right, so behind the scenes of the Fact Freak is ready. So we do know I do awareness, we do know I speak about ex-offenders. Are you alright? Switch your bloody alarm off, will you? We're streaming. Obviously I out wrong-uns. Speak about wrong-uns. Now sometimes those wrong-uns go to the police. Sometimes those wrong-uns go to the police. I have shared with you multiple times where people have gone to the police. There was a person who was defending a PDF that they were dating. They reported me for harassment without the form of violence or whatever the hell it is. I made a video back then showing how that had concluded. Well, I've just received another NFA. So, there is a content creator. I don't know if they're still on this app, quite frankly. They're a non-event to me. They're an absolute non-event to me. This person is called Christopher Emery. You can Google him to find the various news articles about him. Now, he reported me to the police in October and said that I, had harassed him, etc., etc. Right? Now, the police made a visit to my house. They asked me, I am collecting them with these wrong-uns. I had one over Sonny Sweetman and all sorts of different people. So, the police came to my house, and what I want to use this moment for is to help educate people. So the police came to my house, and they played it down. So they came to the house and they said, look, James, look, we've had this report. We know what you do on social media, etc. We know what you do. That I think the easiest way to just resolve this is if you agree to a community resolution order. Now, the way to do that, in my opinion, is to make it seem like it's not a big deal to agree to a community resolution order, that it just gets the matter dealt with straight away. A community resolution order is an admittance to guilt. So if somebody's accusing you of harassment, which I in no way was harassing Mr. Emery by telling everybody about his crimes, as it's already in the public domain, right? So if you agree to it, signing your little signature, you are admitting to guilt. Some orders, some things, it isn't counted as an admittance of guilt. This is. Now, a community resolution order could then have terms of service to it. So, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, etc. And then it becomes a crime. So you basically incriminate yourself. So like something like harassment or various other things, there's obviously a burden of proof. And if they can't meet that, then obviously it doesn't progress because it hasn't happened. That particular crime hasn't happened. So that they went off, not happy that I hadn't done that. And then I waited for a while to hear what the response was going to be. Didn't get one. So I put a complaint into Northumbria Police and said, look, I think it's a complete waste of police resources. There isn't a crime. I says, you've tried to impose upon me this order. I found it suspicious that the officer was not recording his body cam. Luckily, I have the dog cams in the house, so I had the recordings. I says, I feel like, that was an intentional thing. I then got a letter posted through the door yesterday, and apparently this cop had emailed me on the 7th of March. Well, not apparently, he had, but it had got into my junk mail, so I hadn't seen it. So he posted the same letter through my door, basically very wishy-washy. We may have to interview you. So, of course, I rang him and said, look, do you want a voluntary interview or not? Like, what do you actually want? To which he told me that he did want to have a voluntary interview if possible. To which I told him, well, just so you know, you're going to get a pre-prepared statement from me, and you will also get no other comments throughout the interview. So this afternoon, I went to that interview. Would you guys like to hear the pre-written statement? Yeah, they should. Lisa, they should. Now, the videos I've done about him are on YouTube if you want to check them out. Like loosely speak about him when I do a video telling everyone about this. I thought you would. I don't mind sharing. There's nothing Right, okay, so the prepaid statement read like this. This is my prepared statement. After reading this out for the record, I will be progressing through this voluntary interview without making comment. I am aware of Mr. Emery. When discussing Emery, I have discussed what is available in the public domain, including news articles featuring him and also his TikTok videos and live streams. Emery's TikTok username was also his full name. I am aware that Emery has an issue with me referring to him as an S offender. Emery was convicted of sexually motivated crime, of revenge crime. I believe that as he was convicted of revenge crime, that does make Emery an S offender. These convictions are on various news articles and once again in the public domain. Reporting on his crimes and the actions online his actions online was never intended as any form of harassment. I am also aware of multiple live streams Emery has conducted on TikTok talking about myself in a derogatory way. I am also aware that Emery has talked about his crimes publicly on TikTok videos and live streams. I have recordings of all of this, and at request from the police they can be provided. I believe this report has been a complete waste of police time and resources, and did report this concern, and then I put the complaint reference number in, and that was it. And I've literally just received the email saying, "Hello and thanks again for coming into the police station for voluntary interview. I have liaisoned with my supervision and the decision has been made to take no further action in relation to this matter. The crime will now be closed and Mr. Emery will be updated in due course." Well, if you're watching, there's your update. Fucking honestly, is it not event to me? It's just another S offender that I've just talked about, moved on. And also, what was very interesting is there was an account that was brought up in interview. I mean, I was saying no comments, so they didn't really expand on much. One thing I did tell them was that FactFreak16 account on here is not my account, and it is run by Aisha Auckland, way too feisty. Remember, she admitted that to Miss Red when she was in Red's stream pretending to be me when her and Red were friends, and I have all the evidence of that. And there was screenshots that he had in front of him that I wasn't asked about, which were messages from that account. So I really think, you know, somebody's pushing. On the 12th of January, I had a visit from the police. Our Mr. Christopher Emery had reported me for harassment after I talked about his horrible crimes here publicly. Now, the police wanted me to sign something called a community resolution order. Now, when you sign a community resolution order, you're in fact admitting to guilt immediately off the bat. Now, the police played it to me like, oh, you know, we'll just do this and we'll get it sorted. However, it is your right to say no, and that's what I did. Fast forward to the weekend, and I get a lovely hand-delivered letter from the police. It was a very wishy-washy letter, so I rang up and said, "Look, do you want a voluntary interview or not?" To which I said, "If you wouldn't mind." Now, I told them that I would be providing a pre-prepared statement and that I would be going in with a no-comment interview approach. So if you don't know, obviously you have the right, obviously, not to speak in any police interview or under caution in any way. It was mentioned that Mr. Emery was very upset that I called him an S offender. And as you'll see with my prepared statement, which I read out in the interview, I explain exactly why I refer to him as that. Of course, the inevitable. After the interview, the same day, I receive an NFA, as you can see here. Stop wasting police time because you're upset that the internet know exactly what you are. You may have moved on, but I'm sure the victims of your crime have not.